Yo, what's happening, people? Okay, this is an episode. This is another episode of the Uncivilized Art podcast. My name is Boomer Hazan, although I go by Bandit Haze in the online space. Geek internet culture podcast. Talk about all kinds of geeky things, culture, creativity. And this time around, we're going to be talking about Beavis and Butthead, in particular, Beavis and Butthead, due to the Universe movie came out, I think, a few months ago now. And I have my man Sweet Bundy's with me to talk all things Beavis and Butthead in this particular episode of Beavis and in this particular episode of the podcast. It's words. But real quick before you get into it, though, so yeah, this is going to be, I guess, kind of a review slash talk slash in-depth slash analysis slash a bunch of things. We'll see how it goes out. But if there's other shows or other movies or things that you want to hear us talking about in a similar kind of way, drop some suggestions in the comments, and we could check those out. Well, depending on what they are, of course, and that sort of thing. But yeah, drop some suggestions, and we'll see. But for now, it is Beavis and Butthead do the universe. And yeah, Sweet Bundy, how you been?
I've been doing great.
That was a smooth transition,
Been
wasn't it?
watching. I've been doing great. I've been watching some shows, not a lot actually, mostly YouTube actually.
Okay, yeah.
Playthroughs. I'm watching this playthrough of Persona 5, and it's from 5 years ago. And it's just these guys, they're like really nerdy, and they played, well, one of them at least played from Persona 1. Not that you have to play them consecutively because each game is in its own universe, but long story short, they know what the fuck they're talking about.
Mm.
And that's why I'm watching them. And plus, they're entertaining as hell.
Oh yeah.
So I've been hooked on watching that more than actually watching shows, which is funny. But then again, YouTube is pretty much the new TV.
It pretty much is. I think for myself, I mean, I guess maybe not as much lately, but certainly, yeah. I mean, I haven't watched regular TV for the longest time, and pretty much all stuff I watch is, yeah, either YouTube, Netflix, or some other streaming platform. And yeah, YouTube is typically a big part of that. Some of the channels that I try to
Hmm.
keep up with, and just general other things that look interesting and pop up on my timeline. So yeah, I agree with that. YouTube is the new television. It's been the new television for a while.
Yeah.
So Persona 5, that's I think you streamed that game a few times, right?
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Okay.
Pretty much the theme of my channel is dedicated to Persona 5 because that was the first game that actually got me like a community or a following. Not to say like I'm popular or some shit now, but I actually
Yeah,
had
we
people
can.
come in and people that I've known for like 3 years now,
Mm,
thanks to Persona 5.
okay. So that's a special game. Cool. I don't. Yeah,
Oh,
and I haven't played
definitely.
any of the Persona games. I don't think. I mean, they're
Well,
RPGs. I think. Is that right?
guess what? This October on Game Pass, they're releasing Persona 3, Persona
Okay.
4, and Persona 5. Now,
Okay.
I don't know, it depends on how old school RPG you like, but I would say the best thing to play if you're not really familiar with RPGs or if you're not really into like the hard or difficult or slow pace RPGs, go
Mm-hmm.
into Persona 5. Just straight Persona 5. Now, there's a difference. They got Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal. Persona 5 Royal is pretty much the definitive edition. So that's the one that's coming to Game Pass. And they have the definitive editions of Persona 3 and Persona 4.
Okay.
Main point, play Persona 5 Royal as soon as it comes out on Game Pass.
Okay. So you saying that you don't necessarily have to play the previous ones because they're their own stories. So I could just go
Exactly.
straight to Persona 5 and then Persona 5 Royal, which is what's coming to Game Pass. That's the definitive edition. So that's got all the stuff that you need if you're coming into Persona for the first time.
Yeah, pretty much the easiest way to think about it is because most people played the Pokemon games. Have you?
Right, yeah, a couple of them. Yeah, one of them, actually. Yeah, but yeah.
So pretty much it's just like that. Like you didn't have to play Pokemon Fire, or
Mm,
I mean Pokemon Red to play Pokemon Silver, or Pokemon Yellow to play Pokemon Diamond. You get what I mean? Each game is its own thing.
Yeah, I guess like Final Fantasy as well. Like each game is its own well, apart from
Well,
some of them, but most of the time, each game is its own story and adventure and new characters and worlds and whatever. And they don't really link that much, or if any, if it's all to the previous games. They just put the number on the end of it because, you know.
well, unfortunately, I never played a Final Fantasy game.
They're pretty good actually. They're pretty good. I don't feel any of them are on Game Pass.
No, I
Yeah, I don't
got
feel any
one
of them are on Game
downloaded.
Pass, but
I think it's the
they're pretty
newest one
good.
that I have downloaded. The remake or something like that. I didn't play it yet. I'm going to someday, like pretty soon. But yeah, that's one of the games that I know as a gamer you have to play. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Final Fantasy Seven. The original Final Fantasy Seven. I never completed due to a corrupted save file. Well, that's the
Oh
initial
man.
reason. I did try it again some years later. Now I think I just got bored eventually.
I
Who
don't
knows?
blame
Maybe
you.
I'll try it again someday. But I'm. I have to, I think if I do ever go back to Final Fantasy Seven, I think I'm gonna have to actually complete it. But I did play Final Fantasy X some years back, and that was a really cool game. I really enjoyed that. In fact, I might try and play that one again as well because it's been a while now. It's been some many years since I've played that. So yeah, might try and get through
Yeah.
that again. But yeah, I've been watching some shows and playing a little bit of video games myself. So shows I've been watching. Let's see, apart from of course the Beavis and Butt-Heads, we're gonna talk about those in a bit. Been watching. I started watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 4 along with Angel season 1. So I've been watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer over the past, I guess, some months now. And yes, I just started with season 4. But because season 4 of Buffy is when season 1 of Angel starts, I've been following a watch guide of which order to watch the episodes in. And I'm not sure if that's the order they showed it in on TV or not. I don't think it is. It doesn't look like it anyway. I mean, not that I
Yeah.
would out of what I would assume how they show it on TV, because it seems to go like episode of Buffy, episode of Angel, episode of Buffy, episode of Angel. That's how it goes for the most part, which I guess is similar. I imagine that's how they show it on TV. But then there's other parts where it be Angel, Angel, Buffy, Buffy, Angel, Angel, Buffy, Angel. You know, like kind of like that. So I guess some of it is in. I would assume at least anyway. I don't know because I wasn't watching it back on TV, but I'd assume some of it is in the same TV broadcast order. But then other bits are just in the order where the stories and the episodes kind of interlink. And they recommend you watch certain episodes first so that you have more of an understanding of what happens in another episode and that sort of thing. But yeah, so far so good. I mean, I'm enjoying it. You know, I think between Buffy and Angel, Angel is definitely the more serious show,
Hmm.
although it definitely has parts that I personally feel don't fit in with its tone. Well, not even parts, characters, I should say, that don't really fit in with its tone. And but it's still early, so maybe that changes. We'll see.
How many
Buffy is
seasons do they have?
with Angel 5 seasons and with Buffy 7. So yeah, I'm I guess about halfway through the whole thing, or maybe a third. I don't know how it works out, but yeah, I'm quite ways into it now.
Yeah.
What else been watching then? I watched I watched Airplane actually again recently, the old school
Oh
Airplane
shit.
movie from 1981. Watched that again
Yeah, that
recently,
was my
and
movie. I
man,
mean, it's way before my time, but still, I love that movie.
it's still funny. I would say,
Yeah.
but here's the thing. I think a lot of the reason why I find it funny is definitely the nostalgia factor to it, because I can remember watching it way back in the day. And so part of that is anticipating the jokes that you haven't heard for a long time that you thought was funny. You know what I mean? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, it's 1981, right? It's a near 40-year-old movie. As yeah, even if you haven't seen it, right, I'm pretty sure you could probably guess that a lot of the jokes in there would not fly today. You know, a lot of the jokes would not fly today. But yeah, it's definitely good sometimes going back and watching these old movies or old shows and just wow, man. But it's funny. I definitely recommend it, but to anybody who hasn't seen it. But yeah, if you're the type to be more offended by certain things, I think definitely avoid it. Definitely just don't bother.
Yeah,
Just
I
if
mean
you
that's a given for a lot of
yeah
comedy films back then. Like things that were
hmm
funny about like shit even 10 years ago
right
may
yeah
not be so funny now. However, it's not bad to laugh at it, in my opinion. You
sure
know, some things like, for example, um, I'll laugh at something offensive. Like Dave Chappelle, for example, is my favorite comedian of all time, of
mm.
all time. And for me personally, I don't find anybody funnier.
I would
But
say Dave Chappelle is a genius level comedian. In my opinion, I think what he does, not just in terms of humor, but also in terms of how he tells a joke and his ability to move from being serious to being a joke so kind of seamlessly, and you always just kind of know when he's being serious and you know when he's not being serious. And it's not like, I
mhm.
don't think if it's in the voice tone or maybe it's stuff he does, I don't know, but there's always just something that you just, I feel like you just can't even talk probably, instinctively know when he's being serious and when he's being funny, and like he could just switch between the two, and he's man like Dave Chappelle, yeah.
Yeah, he's amazing. I grew up on him. And I mean, I can admit that, yeah, some of the stuff is offensive that he's saying now, whatever, the whole controversy with
Mm,
the LBGT community.
mm,
But, and the thing is, like, I have friends that are a part of that community. Uh, I'm a supporter of it. And, like, even though that's that, I'm still gonna laugh at some of the jokes because that motherfucker's funny.
mm,
These jokes are funny, but of course, certain jokes are going to offend you. For example, if you're fat and you hear fat jokes, you may not laugh at that,
mm.
but that doesn't mean that the person shouldn't do a joke.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely possible. I think this happens a lot where you can find a joke funny, even though you recognize the joke itself is maybe distasteful or, encourages, if you will, a bad message. Just the silliness and humor of it, you can laugh at. And it doesn't mean that you agree with the opinion. In fact, I imagine a lot of these, like, say, more offensive jokes, the person telling them doesn't necessarily hold that opinion, but they're just trying to say something that's funny. And if you find it funny, that doesn't necessarily mean that you agree with that opinion. I'm gonna, well, let me. I think there are certain exceptions when with that, by the way. Let me be clear, but not necessarily every single case. But yeah, I would
Yeah,
say that I think there are certain exceptions when it's like, and I guess there's ways you can kind of know, maybe just get kind of a vibe, or maybe there's certain words that get used. But I feel like you kind of know when a person is telling a joke because they're just being silly, just being funny. They don't necessarily, mean or having any kind of negative opinions of the things that they say. They're just telling a joke. I think you can tell the difference between that and somebody who's telling a joke because they actually believe that these people are a certain way, or you know what I mean. I think you could usually tell in like the way it's being said, types of words being used, and that sort of thing. Um, but yeah, laughing at a joke, I wouldn't say that in and of itself means that you hate whatever people what the joke was based around. It just means they said something and there was humor in it, and there's humor in a lot of things. Let's be honest, right? There's humor
yeah,
in a lot of situations that you know to somebody else would not be very humorous at all. It's kind of how humans are. Like we find humor in odd places or in strange places or sometimes very inappropriate places. But that in and of itself doesn't mean you're the one that's trying to destroy a person. Nah. Let's dial it back.
yeah. I mean, here's the thing: when jokes are malicious, like purposely
Hmm.
to offend, to go ahead and put down, then I get it. You
Yeah.
know, but comedy like that has never really been a thing for people. I mean, some assholes love it, but I was one of the people that I didn't like shit like that. For example, I didn't like DL Hughley,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
Uh,
I like DFU, but okay, cool.
I didn't like him because anytime I watch one of his stand-ups, he'll go ahead at the end of the show or towards the end, he'll start cracking jokes on the audience. Now, of course, you know, people who go to comedy shows, you gotta, if you're sitting in front, don't
Mm,
expect to be ignored.
yeah.
There's a chance that you're going to be joked on and you just got to roll with it. But, you don't want a situation like what Dave Chappelle did in Nutty Professor,
Okay, I haven't seen that, Professor, but okay.
You haven't seen Nutty Professor?
I
What?
mean,
With
actually no,
Eddie
maybe,
Murphy
actually no, I
and
think I
Janet
have seen it.
Jackson?
It was no, you know what? I have seen it. It
I
was a
was
long
about to
time ago
say,
though.
man.
I don't remember a lot of the story. I think I probably watched it maybe a year or two after it came because I think I watched it on video or
Oh,
maybe on
man.
TV. No, I have seen it, but yeah, so a long
Yeah,
time ago.
you
He
made my
goes from
heart
like
drop.
really fit to really big, and like he cost. I think he cost. No, he makes a potion that he goes from like this really big guy to this really sort of fit guy, and then like Janet Jackson, I think is like he falls in love with or something, and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah something. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a
All
long time
right.
ago. I don't remember the details, but yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it.
So I'll remind you of the scene that I'm talking about. Basically, they go to a comedy show, and this is before he made the potion, I believe, or
Okay.
he's not using it at that time. And he's on a date with Janet Jackson, and he's big as hell. So on stage, Dave Chappelle, he's doing his jokes or whatever, and then he starts cracking on Eddie. Yeah, I'm talking about he's doing joke after joke after
Oh yeah.
joke, and everybody's laughing, and he's just sitting there all sad and shit. And they start playing the sad music. You
Yeah,
know
yeah.
how it goes. But yeah, D.L. Hughley was like that. He was an asshole.
What just like really going in hard on the crowd.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he didn't hurt anybody's feelings as far as I remember because they knew what he was about.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah,
why they went there. But for me, I didn't like that shit.
yeah. You
I
just
don't
stay,
mind people
stay
doing
out.
jokes on the audience. Like, for example, the Kings of Comedy, that special. I think Steve Harvey did some jokes on people in the audience, but it was funny as hell the way how he did it.
Yeah, I think like that sort of stuff really depends on the joke, depends on the comedian, depends on the setup. Um, I mean, yeah, if
And the audience.
you go to a comedy show, almost certainly, especially if you're out the front, somebody's gonna make jokes in the audience, somebody's gonna say. But I feel like sometimes it can get a bit like played out. When especially if you got like I don't know, like say 5, 6 comedians, and 4, 5 of them have already done like crowd work, and the fifth one comes out and he's like, "So where are you from?" You know what I mean? And it's like, "Oh, geez, there we go." You know what I mean? I feel like
Yeah.
I think it can definitely get played out, but if it's done well, then I've seen comedians just like do it really well, where they could kind of there's a big spider just crawling down in front of me, hurrah! Oh shit! Oh man! I don't think you could sit. Maybe it wasn't that big, but it was a big skinny spider, just like literally just like coming down right in front. Anyway,
You killed it?
I don't know if I killed it. I don't. Hopefully
I
not.
hope so. Listen, for me,
No, it's not
I
dead.
can't speak for everybody.
It's not dead. It's not dead. It's just on the floor. It's good. Um,
I
but no, I'm not gonna kill a spider. Well, I'm not.
listen.
Nah.
I'm just saying, I hate bugs. Okay, I can't speak for everyone, but I hate bugs. I don't believe in that whole shit of, oh, let the spider live because it kills other bugs. No, that it's like that story where you had a mouse infestation, so then you get snakes, and now you got a snake infestation, so then you get
Yeah.
uh,
Okay.
what is it, the mongoose or whatever the hell
Yeah.
eats snakes?
Then
Yeah,
you
it's
get
like
kind of
that
lions and
story.
tigers or whatever.
Yeah,
I
like
mean, look,
nah, kill them all.
I don't have a problem with killing spiders or insects or whatever. I just be like, if I don't have to, I'm not going to. That's why I try to do it. If
Okay,
there's a other option, I mean, to be honest, I almost did kill because I was trying to hit it away, but I didn't. It just got the web, which is fine. It could crawl away somewhere if it wants to. But yeah, I mean, if I feel like I got to do it, then I got to do it. But if not, I'm good. I don't need to kill it. I can
Okay.
just like put in a cup of something, throw it outside. It's fine.
Just know if
but
I was there, I would have killed it.
but yeah, I was just saying about crowd work. Like it depends. I've seen some comedians do it really, really well. Like kind of impromptu. Somebody says something and they're able to kind of bounce off that. But yeah, if you're not that good at crowd work, if you're not that good at coming up with good jokes off the top of your head, I'll say leave it because yeah, when comedians do crowd work and it just doesn't go well, or when the audience starts to get a bit smart with it and they're not really giving proper answers and they just make it really difficult, and this guy's just like, oh, um, well, how about you pretend you're from, you know what I mean? It's like, bro, come on. So
Yeah.
yeah, crowd work is a difficult thing, but if you can do it well, do it. If not, don't bother. Don't bother.
I say the guy who does it best is one of my new favorite comedians. I don't want to say like he's new. It's just that I'm just now getting into him. Like I just discovered him. I mean,
Okay.
Sam Morrill.
Okay.
And I
Yeah. Yeah.
might
Yeah.
be,
Yeah.
I had mentioned him before. I might be
Yeah.
mispronouncing his name, but he is so fucking good
I've
at
s-
responding to a crowd, even hecklers and all that. He just rolls with it so effortlessly. This
mm,
guy is hilarious. I really recommend anybody go and watch his comedy specials, or not comedy specials, but he has
his
stand up
bits. Yeah.
uh, all on YouTube.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I've seen some of his bits right now. I can't really remember any of them at the moment, but I'm pretty sure I've seen. I know the name. So yeah, and I'm pretty sure you've mentioned it before as well. So I know the name
Yeah,
Sam Morril. Morale. Yeah.
he's so
Um,
damn funny.
Speaking of Janet Jackson, before we move ahead with the podcast,
Hmm.
as you mentioned Janet Jackson, let me ask you this. Have you seen this clip going around with Janet Jackson from a show? Actually an old clip from, I think, 2003, I believe. I'm pretty sure it said 2003. So it's an old clip, but it's from one of her concerts where she has this guy supposedly from the audience, and I'll say what I was saying supposedly in a moment. But a guy supposedly from the audience, he's on this like, I don't know, bed type thing. His arms are kind of locked down, his legs are locked down, his shirt's open, and Janet Jackson is just dancing all
Oh
over him.
yeah,
I'm talking
yeah.
like proper like on this guy, like over his body, like pussy up in his face. You know what I mean? Everything. All over this guy while she's singing a song. And it's no clip. I'm pretty sure I remember seeing it when it went round initially, but yeah, it seems to be circling around quite recently now. What's your thoughts on that? What's your thoughts on that? If you know that, if you've seen the clip, so yeah, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, assuming he's of age, that would be the concern. Like that's the problem with people like rather singers or artists
Mm-hmm.
pulling people on stage. You gotta check their ID first before you do some shit like that. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, for
Second,
sure.
uh, assuming he's of age, that motherfucker was blessed. Okay, Janet Jackson back then was hot as hell. I mean, she's still attractive, but I wouldn't be like in a hurry to have her grinding her damn crotch in my face. You know,
I mean, I'll take it.
I
If you don't want it, I'll
mean
take it.
that's like on some Madonna level now. Because don't get me wrong, I like some older women like Halle Berry. I'll drop anything for her. Shit, if I'm married with kids, if Halle Berry said come over, I'd be like I'm
Yeah,
ready.
yeah.
I'm like
It's
I'm
like, bye,
sorry.
wife, bye.
I'm
Thanks for the
sorry,
last
kid.
10 years.
Okay, Halle Berry, amazing. Megan Good, I don't mean to be disrespectful because I don't know how old she is now, but I know that growing up, she was already older. So Megan Good. What's that chick that was in Clueless? Stacy
Stacey
Dash.
Dash. Okay, yeah, yeah.
I know she's controversial, but I don't care. She's fine as hell. She's fine as hell. So older women, there are some older women I'm gonna go for, but Janet Jackson isn't one of them. Janet Jackson was like, you know, I I think it's because like she looks a little too much like Michael Jackson to me, and that's again, she's very attractive, but she reminds me a little bit too much of older Michael, like Black Michael.
Yeah, they're related, so they're gonna have similar features
Yeah,
for
of course,
sure.
of
But
course. But
yeah,
it's
that
almost
wouldn't
the
bother
same
me.
issue of like why some people may not be into Willow. You know, Willow
Mm.
is a nice, attractive young lady,
You talk about Willow
but
Smith?
yeah, but she
Ain't she
looks too
like
much like
18 or something? Or like, might want to be careful talking about that one, dude. Like,
no, no,
I
I'm
think.
not coming. No, I'm saying some people.
Wait, listen. Yeah, I'm trying to go into that kind of podcast, dude.
Nah, nah, nah.
uh,
But some people would go ahead and be hesitant on dating her, right? Because she looks so much like her father.
um, well, anyway. The point, the reason why I bring but yeah, the reason why I bring this up, want to ask you about it, because there was another clip, going around, maybe some months back of, I think it was, I can't remember which, it was a rap artist, I forget which one, but she brought some dude up on the stage as well, put him in a chair, same sort of thing, dancing all over him. He wasn't strapped down though, and he started touching up her ass. Not like violently, but he literally just put a hand on her ass. And when he
Mm,
did that, it was like, no, that's not okay. And she was really upset by that. And so there's some like talk about whether that's appropriate, whether it's okay. And of course, you see this Janet Jackson going around, and people saying, yeah, with them strapped down and that whole thing. Here's the thing about this though, and I can't prove this, of course, because I wasn't there. I'm not the one setting it up. They're not coming to me with all this stuff. But I don't believe that the Janet Jackson one was a real person, or more, a real person from the crowd. The other one with the rapper, sure, I could 100% believe that they plucked someone out of the crowd, and that's what happened. He ended up touching up her ass. The Janet Jackson one, I don't know. And here's the reason I don't believe that was a real person plucked out of the crowd. One, the dude was strapped down, right? And you got to
mm.
think, Janet Jackson, like 2003. This is like, I don't know. I don't want to say the height of her fame because she's been famous from like the 80s, but certainly like at a point where she is famous, right? Like world known. For her to bring some random out onto the crowd, onto the stage, strap them down, and do all that, the amount of things that can go wrong, right? I reckon like she would have had all kinds of like lawyers and insurance companies telling her no, you can't do that, because it would be an absolute disaster if any little thing went wrong. You know what I mean? So I reckon that's somebody who was paid to be there. And this again is, I can't prove it, it's my guess. It's someone who was paid to be there. They had all the medical checks done,
Hmm.
had all the contracts signed, waivers, whatever they need to sign, insurance in place, and then they just put this guy out and put him in and strapped him up, and then danced over him. Another reason why I don't believe that's a person plucked out of the crowd is because if you notice, he did not have a patch on his pants. You know what I mean?
What you mean?
He didn't have a patch on his pants. Because
A
imagine you
patch?
get plucked out the crowd and you're just out there, you get strapped down and you got this beautiful woman dancing all over you. What happens? You
Yo.
know what I mean? You're gushing. You know what I mean? Like it's a waterfall at that point. Like you know what I'm saying? Like it's yeah. And so I reckon that guy was ready. Probably had some kind, I don't know, cup or whatever. I don't know what maybe put a condom on or something. I don't know. But dude was prepared. Do you know what I'm
Yo.
saying? Dude was prepared. So I'm like, nah, I don't believe that was a real person they plucked out of the crowd. I reckon that was a plant. And I'm not mad at that, by the way. I'm not mad at that because, to be honest, I feel like if you're going to do that sort of thing, yeah, have a plant. Have somebody that's paid to be there, somebody that knows what's up, knows what they can or cannot do. And like I say, just in case anything goes wrong, you've got the right medical insurances and whatever else in place. This other person who just plucked someone out of the crowd, and then it ended up this guy just putting his hands where they shouldn't have gone. You know what I mean? Like it's I'm
Yeah.
not yeah, get someone that you're paying to be there. Otherwise, there's a high potential either something can go wrong like in terms of danger and well-being, or something could go wrong in terms of somebody not understanding what they can or cannot do, because not everybody's reading from the same textbook, right? So
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, yeah. So my thing is, I don't believe the Janet Jackson one was a real person. But hey, maybe, maybe, maybe.
I mean, it's a possibility that that person could have been real or a plant. If it wasn't a plant, I think Janet Jackson is at the point where like, or rather, at that time was at the point where bodyguards were all around. Even if you didn't see them, they were ready. Because remember, Michael
Mm,
Jackson would have motherfuckers coming on stage too.
yeah,
And Michael Jackson was way more famous than Janet Jackson. I'm talking about people were fainting,
yeah.
crying, screaming. There was one motherfucker that got on the platform that was like Michael Jackson used to do some performances where he'll get on the platform and starts rising in the air. And there was an audience member that climbed on stage one time and got on there, right? And started rising and rising. And Michael Jackson was scared because he didn't want the kid getting hurt,
Mm,
that or whoever getting hurt when they got up there. So but main point, I think that Janet Jackson, I don't think she was scared of having people on there. And if anything were to happen, bodyguards were ready. The Jackson family were considered royalty for a
mm.
long time.
Oh yeah, I mean
Um,
for sure she would have had security. I mean, I guess any concert, of course, they're gonna have like security guards. So yeah, yeah,
yeah, and
they would have
I
had
don't,
people ready.
yeah, and I don't think that she would be obedient. Mainly, in other words, like if they told her don't do this, and if she really wanted to do it, she's gonna do it.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, like with the situation with the rapper, um, that was just poor communication.
okay.
Like she
What?
brought him on stage. She should have kind of made it clear, no touching or something
Mm,
like that. She didn't. And of course, a guy like some guys, they have common sense. All right, I'm gonna keep my hands back. But some other guys, they gonna touch.
yeah.
Shit, you grinding up against me, of course. That's the mentality that some guys have. Shit, I would have that mentality. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah. I
Shit, you
mean,
grinding all on me.
it's difficult. I mean, for that one, yeah, I think it's difficult to say who's in the wrong because on one hand, it's like, yeah, if you brought someone up on stage and it wasn't clear what it kind of, I mean, assuming again, I was there, but assuming it like it wasn't clear that he can't do certain things. Yeah, I think a lot of guys. I mean, I don't know how old they are. They look like they're maybe early to mid 20s, I guess, or some that kind of age, that kind of younger age. Yeah, I think a lot of people that age would be like, "Yo, this woman is all up on me. My hands are not tied down," and it's like, "Ooh," you know. So,
Yeah, I don't think he was in the wrong. I feel like it was a normal response. It would be something crazy. It'll be more. It'll be worse if he was like excessive with it. Like if he grabbed on to her
right,
ass
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, for sure.
fucking tight and all that shit, like extra shit. All he did was like touch,
Yeah, it was
and
like
that
a.
was it. She was like, nope.
Listen, I will say this though,
But
like concert or no concert, and this is a message that goes out to. I'll tell this message to any guy out there, myself included. Be careful where you put your hands. Be careful where you, because I get it. I know that temptation. I've been there. All of that. I've been the guy who's maybe touched a little something that I wasn't supposed to touch. I've been the guy who's been able to keep my hands behind my back at times. I've and all in between. So listen, be just be careful out there. I get it. The temptation is real. You know what I mean? The temptation is
yeah.
real. But if in doubt, leave it out. Just leave it out. Just like, you know what? Let me just sit on my hands. Let me just just sit on my hands and behave myself.
I mean,
Nobody ever
me,
got
I
mad
was
that you didn't
fortunate.
touch them. Well,
Yeah, I was fortunate
maybe not
enough to
nobody.
be, have like my mother and my grandmother. They already taught me well when I was
Mm,
younger, and then even as I got older, I had like the girlfriends that I had. They put me in my place quick. You know, they
mm,
I had dominating uh girlfriends. Like I remember one in particular who taught me a lot, pretty much. I couldn't go ahead and say certain things to her or around her. So it made me go ahead and start like, I don't know. I hate to say it like this, but it trained me not to be a certain way around women. So like, yeah, I'm talking this shit or whatever. Like, yo, I can't blame them. But if I was in that situation, would I have done it? Most likely, no, because I've already been in positions where, like, I did shit with my girl, and she'll tap my hand. Like, no,
Yeah, like, bro.
what's wrong with you? Don't do that. I'm like, all right, I got to wait for permission. Like, oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
But I appreciate shit like that because the thing is, a lot of guys, unfortunately, they don't know how to be like just sum it up, gentlemen, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But with this situation where this woman, uh, she pulled him on stage and started giving him a lap dance, you know, you have to have communication.
Yeah.
That's all. But I don't think it was a big deal. I honestly don't. It'll be different. Like there's a different situation. So severe situations is like there were situations where Miley Cyrus. Remember when Miley was going crazy, like dressing with tight shit and all that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, going crazy. One time she was doing a performance and she was by the crowd, and then I think the crowd grabbed her. Like I don't know if they grabbed her ass or her crotch, but shit like that, that's not cool. You know better. Even if she's fucking going crazy or if she was naked on stage, you know not to do that.
Yeah. No,
That's
that. Yeah.
common sense. Nobody
That's
has
like
to teach you
there's.
that.
I think with concerts already kind of show as well. They do. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, to be honest, I haven't been to a concert for a long time. But I'm pretty sure they do make certain things clear about there's a distance between the crowd and the performers, and even if the performers kind of leaning in, unless they actually jump into the crowd or something like that, then yeah, you don't grab the performers. You know that you
Yeah.
that's I believe they do make that clear. At least from what I can remember, it's been like I said, it's been a long time now, but I imagine from what I can remember, they do have some kind of communication about not grabbing, trying to climb on stage or anything like that. So unless the artist literally jumps into the crowd and does like a crowd surf or something like that, then yeah, that's like the only situation where you could be touching the performers. Other than that, no, no.
Yeah, I've never been to a concert, so I wouldn't know. What?
Oh, you should go to a concert.
I don't. Well,
That's
shit.
what you should do.
We're gonna have to wait till I get a damn vaccine for that monkeypox.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not playing with that. I'm telling you. Like with COVID, I was safe enough to wash my hands, do shit like that, wear a mask, but I wasn't scared to get it. I got my vaccination and everything, but I wasn't scared to get it. Worst case scenario, I die. And then I don't have to pay bills.
Oh,
So
problem
I'm like,
solved,
all right,
right? Problem solved.
yeah. So with monkeypox though, oh hell no. You don't even die with that. You just get incredibly scarred and you're disfigured and you're walking around with these lesions on your body. Okay, it's
Hey,
terrible. Shit, I had chickenpox before and I thought that was bad when that happened. Okay, I'm
hey,
permanently scarred from
you see that?
chickenpox.
You see that video of that dude that got monkeypox and went to the drive-thru at McDonald's?
Yeah, he's a yo. I'm sorry. I'm gonna curse a little bit more than usual, but
Hey,
he is a fucking piece of shit, and he deserves his ass kicked. I don't care what anyone says. There are people always excusing people for any goddamn thing, whether they're right or wrong. Is always somebody gotta defend them, no matter who it is. Somebody gotta defend that person. And I saw people trying to defend him. Oh, he didn't have anything to eat. Well, then maybe he would lose some fucking weight. Okay. I don't know why the fuck he took his ass to fucking McDonald's. Getting these people, you're risking so much. You're not only risking that person's health or whatever. And I get that it's not life or death, but shit, who the fuck wants monkeypox? That shit is like, yo, you've seen it, right?
yeah. I mean, I've seen what it can do, and yeah, that dude. I mean, if you ran out of food, you could order food to your house, have a note on the
Exactly.
door
And they
saying
drop it in front of your fucking house.
leave
And
it
then there's
such and
people
such.
talking about,
You know,
oh, well, uh, DoorDash and
man.
Uber Eats is expensive. Fuck that.
Well,
If it's too expensive for you to order something, then take something off the damn order.
you know,
Take
it's
off
not
the
even
large
just
soda.
DoorDash or Uber Eats, because then if you run out of food, first of all, like why are you getting like, you know, McDonald's or whatever? If you run out of food, you'd be looking at grocery shopping. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
they
Like,
wouldn't let his ass in the grocery store. They'll
no,
tell him
but you
get
can
out.
order that to your house. I mean, so
Oh
like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you could go
yeah,
online, go to, you know, a grocery website,
yeah.
grocery
But
store
some people were
website, order
saying,
that to your
trying to
house.
defend him, saying that he didn't have enough money for that.
Well, that's cheaper than going to DoorDash and McDonald's. So, well, at least it should
What
be. I
going
don't know. Maybe it's
ordering
different.
your?
Maybe that's different in America. But
Oh,
buying food
definitely,
from a
definitely.
supermarket is typically cheaper than buying food from McDonald's, or
Oh,
isn't it?
that's
Is,
weird.
is that not the
We
case in
can
America?
no.
For real?
So groceries like a week worth of groceries is like it could be like $100, right?
Okay.
A week's worth. And McDonald's like and nobody goes to the grocery store for just like one day, right? Sometimes you'll go there to pick up something like eggs or bread or whatever, but for like when you go to the grocery store, at least over here, we typically go for like at least a week's worth.
Right.
So
Okay.
that goes to at least $100 on average. I don't
Okay.
know about everybody else, but on average, $100, and it depends on what kind of supermarket you go to. Like if you go to Whole Foods, that shit is definitely gonna be over 100, without a
Okay.
doubt. Now,
But all right.
McDonald's, if you were to get like an average meal from McDonald's, it depends if you're picking it up or not. Like if you order it on Uber Eats, it's gonna go up to like 20, at most 25. It really depends on
Okay.
what you get.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying, like in terms of the initial cost, but sure, that's what I mean is that if you don't have food and you spend say $20 or whatever on a McDonald's, that's your $20 gone. You still got to eat tomorrow, the next day, the day after. You know what I mean? So if money's a concern and no food is a concern, then it makes sense. Okay, maybe you don't do the whole 100 weeks worth of shopping, but certainly whatever money you have, if you go to a supermarket, you'll get more food to last you a longer period of time for that for the money that you have, rather than going to McDonald's and buying one or two meals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. If we're
So
adding it up, yeah.
so yeah, that's what I mean. It's like it would work out cheap if money was concerned, food is concerned, grocery shopping, because the McDonald's is gonna last you. Okay, you eat now, then and what 6 7 hours from now you're gonna eat again, and nothing. You literally spend all your money that you had on one meal. You know
Hey
what I
man,
mean?
we different over here.
So I guess so.
But either way, he's a piece of shit. And I fucking hate people like that. Like, I really do. I really, really fucking do.
No, that was
And
it.
all jokes
Was yeah.
aside, I do not like that shit
That
whatsoever.
was
There's no
yeah. That
excuse.
there was no good reason for him to be doing that. I mean, I
And
first
then
when I
he
saw the
records
video,
that shit like he's proud.
yeah, at first when I saw the video, I thought it was like a joke where he just pretended to have it or something. But no, apparently he really did have it, and he
Hell
really did
yeah.
go to
You can't
McDonald's and
fake all them bumps.
yeah. But yeah, no, that's and it's not like he didn't even know that he had it. Dude knew that he had it as well. So it's like, bruh, come stay your ass at home.
Man, that's like
Stay
walking
your ass at
around
home.
with all these fucking bumps on your lips, and you gonna be like, "Oh, I didn't know I had cold sores."
Yeah.
Like, all right,
All right, all right, all right. I think that's oh, there we go. Yeah, let's I think that's a good place to move on to tonight's main topic. Um, so yeah, we want to talk about Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe, which is the movie that came out. I want to say a few months ago. I know I didn't watch it right when it came out because it was on Paramount Plus, and I wanted to wait a
Mhm.
little while so I can binge watch Halo on Paramount Plus. Which that's another thing I watched by the way, Halo. So I've done that now. And yeah, I want to talk about Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe now. So yeah, we're going to be getting into spoilers and that sort of thing. I'll give you guys a warning when spoilers are coming up. But before we get into sort of main spoilery discussion of Beavis and Butthead do the universe, just as a quick review, like a few words review, non spoilers. What's your general opinion on Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe?
honestly, it's not as big as the previous film. Beavis and Butthead Do America is not even close, really. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad film.
Mm.
This film specifically, if you're a Beavis and Butthead fan, you will like it. Go ahead and watch it. Would I say subscribe to Paramount Plus just for this movie? No. Uh, but again, this is not a bad film. If you're a Beavis and Butthead fan, if you're not gonna like it. You're not gonna find it funny because Beavis and Butthead is a specific kind of comedy.
Mm.
So if you're not into the shows, not into the previous film, you're not gonna like this film. That's the bottom line. Uh, Now, let's say you're a Beavis and Butthead fan. You're wondering, how is this film going to be? Well, honestly, I say about the first 20 minutes or so is going to be like a regular episode, and then it starts to escalate, and you see why this is a film. However, you also see that you also see why it's being streamed rather than going to theaters because it's not on that higher level like the previous film was.
Mm.
The previous film was on a larger scale, like I'm talking about the Red Hot Chili Peppers performing Love Roller Coaster
Mm.
and all the shit that they were doing in that film. It really was like, yeah, I could see that being in the theaters. This film, I can't see it being in the theaters and actually enjoying it because of all the, you gotta go out there, pay for the big ticket. You're sitting in some cold ass theater. Is it worth it? No. Now, do I like it? Hell yeah, I like it. I was a Beavis and Butthead fan, and this was funny. It was funny. I loved that Mike Judge still has it. He still has it. Like usually, voice actors, their voice starts to deteriorate as they get older. You start to hear the age in their voice. Not all voice actors, but typically, on average, you will hear that. Mike Judge, at least from to my ears, and I binge watched the original series, uh, and even the later episodes like early 2000, late 2000s, and the newer episodes that were I think featured on Hulu now, if I'm not mistaken. Um,
Okay. Right.
I don't hear much of a difference, honestly. And with this film, also the animation is clean as hell, and there's some stuff that they do that's pretty dope, especially the intro. Like I think it was the opening or something or the title card. They used CGI with it, and it was dope.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
liked it. That scene with the nachos or whatever that was animated so well. Yeah, it was just dope. Overall, with this film, I would say definitely watch it if you're a Beavis and Butthead fan, um, and you have the means to do so.
Okay, cool. Um, I would agree with some of that. And I would say that yeah, I think if you're a Beavis and Butthead fan, definitely watch it if you haven't already. If you already know that type of humor and you like that type of humor, go check it out. If you're curious about Beavis and Butthead, yeah, definitely check it out as well. You might enjoy it. If you're not already a Beavis and Butthead fan, yeah, I think that's probably fair to say you might not like it. That being said, though, even if you're not a Beavis and Butthead fan, but you just appreciate humor, say a more old school approach to comedy, then you might still get something out of it. So I think there's that. Yeah, definitely not on the scale of the previous movie. I think that's fair to say. I don't know what the budget for this movie was, but I did read that the budget for Do America was around $12 million. My guess is this one is nowhere near that, because yeah, it definitely is a much smaller scale film, and like you said, the previous movie had Chili Peppers, it had LL Cool J, they had Bruce Willis, Demi Moore doing some of the voice work as well, so big names at the time, and they've got some known actors in this movie as well. So let's not pretend otherwise, but yeah, it's definitely not the big Hollywood names as the first one. But that being said, it's still funny, like you said. He still got it. He's still, in terms of the humor, in terms of the voice, and for me, I would say that comedy has, for a long time, comedy movies in particular, for a long time has felt like they're holding back. This film feels like it doesn't hold back. And that's what I mean by that kind of old school approach to comedy. If you're someone who appreciates that, you might still get something out of it because it feels like it's just going with it. It knows what it is, and it's not holding back. It recognizes that it's a show from the 90s, that it's now 2022. It's very
Mhm.
self-aware of all of that. It runs with it, and yeah, for me, it was just like it was so refreshing to see a comedy that just lets that literally just like just goes and doesn't dial back the things and be like, maybe we should say that, maybe we should say this. It knows what it is and it runs with it, and it's like, yeah, that's what comedy needs. um by the way, real quick, I am wearing my Beavis and Butt-Head t-shirt today, so I'm representing hard. I'm representing hard. But yeah, that's gonna be it for the non-spoilers. So yeah, if you've not already seen it and you'd rather not hear a bunch of spoilers, you might want to tune out now and come back to this section of the podcast at a later date. But if you have seen it or you just don't care for spoilers, then we shall continue. But you've been warned. We're gonna get into this. All right, so let me give it a few seconds for anybody who's still waiting around. We good? Yeah? Cool. All right, here we go. Actually, let me put a marker down real quick so I know where we are. Here we go. All right, so yeah, let's get into this now. They did a lot of cool things with this movie, and I think one of the things that I thought was not just the funniest part of it, but also probably the most standout bit as well, because it really represents the difference between Beavis and Butthead being from the 90s and Beavis and Butthead now, in terms of like characters, how we thought back then and how we think now. And that was the white privilege scene.
Yeah.
um, when they go to college. And they just, well, they don't go to college, but they walk into this college, and they just
Hmm.
interrupt this class looking for Siri, and the lady's like, "Oh, you got white privilege," and I thought that scene was brilliant for a number of reasons. One, the fact that Beavis and Butthead just totally didn't understand what was going on, and they thought they were telling them that they should be just like going on just grabbing things and taking stuff without permission, and that whole thing, and the way they just kind of walked out
Yeah.
afterwards. But also, what I thought was a subtle stroke of genius was the bit where was it Aisha was explaining what it meant, and then Gage just interrupted her, and he's like, "Oh, I got this, Aisha," and just explained it for her. And not only did he explain it for her, like just totally interrupted her. Like the teacher was like, "Well done, Gage." So there's a complete lack of awareness, for the characters. I mean, a lack of awareness that they're talking about white privilege and male, was it
A
mansplaining?
white guy.
That was it. Yeah, that whole thing, and that literally happens, and the characters are like, they're so oblivious to it, while Aisha's kind of sitting there like, you know. So yeah, I thought that scene was brilliant because I felt like it nailed so many aspects of modern culture, um, that coming from the 90s, like how we think about it, and then of course Beavis and Butthead taking what they learned and just like going into the canteen and grabbing the snacks, going, "Yeah, we got white privilege. Our daddies work at Wall Street." So yeah, that for me was that I thought they nailed that scene brilliantly. So but what did you think of that?
Man, that's one of my favorite scenes in the film. That shit
Mm,
was so funny. I mean, it's really not much more to say than what you already did about that scene specifically. Like, it was showing some good writing. Honestly, it was a good joke.
mm.
I saw one person say, oh, I didn't really like it, but they were white. So I'm not trying to make it a big deal, but maybe that's a coincidence. You know what I mean? Or maybe it's something more. Anyway, me, I got it. I laughed. And if it's one of those things that offends you or whatever, then you shouldn't be watching the film.
Mm,
Okay? You're not there to be taking any of this seriously
mm.
at all. You should not be taking one bit of this movie seriously. This
Um.
movie is no, 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 no.
Okay, yeah, I'll explain what I'm. What, so you go
Okay.
ahead, go ahead.
Because this film, at least in my opinion, is one of those films where it's like, do you want to sit down and have a good laugh? Do you want to just feel nostalgic? It's almost like South Park member berries. You know, do
Mm.
you want to sit back and just go feel like you're going back in time for a bit just to chill and have a good time for about a little over an hour? Well, this movie is for you, assuming you're a Beavis and Butthead fan.
Mm.
Just assume everything I'm saying now is if you're a Beavis and Butthead fan. So I don't have to repeat it. So with that said, um, watching this movie also, I would like to just put in very quick. It's like whenever sitcoms they have a reunion episode, and you get to see them do the same old jokes again. Like
Mm.
if you saw Jaleel White playing Steve Urkel again, getting dressed in the Steve Urkel costume, even though he hates it. You know, just seeing him do it one more time, just for the audience, just for the fans, and having a good time, just one more time. That's what it felt like. Even though they got the new series back, so it's not like one of those things where it's like, you know, honestly, this movie actually kicks off the new series.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
it's pretty dope.
yeah. We watched the new series. So I've only watched like I think the first 3 episodes or 4 episodes so far. No, the first three. But you know, it's like two
Mhm.
episodes per thing. So I guess the
Yeah.
first six really. But yeah, there's still more to come. They're not all out available, at least not in the UK anyway. So yeah, I've watched a few of them, but yeah, not the rest.
Yeah, I watched whatever is out right now. I think I watched 6 episodes if I'm not mistaken.
Mm.
But uh it's funny, it's still funny. Like I was worried that because they were reacting to like ASMR videos, it wasn't gonna be funny, but they made it funny.
Oh,
That shit
they
was funny. That ASMR scene, do you remember it?
yo, Beavis and Butthead reacting to YouTube videos and TikTok videos. Oh my days, it's the best thing. It is so funny. The ASMR
Yeah.
one was, but it's just whispering. And then when Beavis, oh, you know, let me not ruin the jokes. Actually, no, we'll spoil this anyway. Yeah, more spoilers for the show as well. But yeah, when he when he's Beavis was saying something and Butthead goes to slap him, but he does it really softly.
Yeah.
And the
And
other
then
one
he's
where
whispering and he's like, "What do you say, Butthead?" And he slapped the shit out of him.
yeah.
Like
I remember when Beavis was talking about the difference between was that a white tail lizard or something, and is that a white throat lizard and I can't remember what it is, but there's different types of lizards, and Beavis apparently knows about lizards. I don't know if they've ever done that before. I don't think so, but apparently Beavis just knows all the stuff about lizards. It's like, yeah, no, you're thinking of the Mungo's tail lizard. I'm just telling you, you want to be wrong, but a white lizard does not eat crickets. It makes them sick. It's like,
and that's one of the jokes that I really like is whenever they show like Beavis is actually the smarter one. And
yes, yeah,
even though like they make it seem like Butthead is smarter, he's not. He just talks confidently, you know?
yeah,
But Beavis is actually the smarter one. Like a couple of times throughout the series when I was rewatching it, I noticed that he'll have moments of brilliance. You know,
yeah.
moments where he's actually knowing his shit. And you're like, oh, all right. But you know, in the end, they're both jackasses. That you
Yeah, I
know,
mean they're both idiots when it comes down to it in the
yeah,
truest form. But yeah, Beavis is always kind of like you say, he'd always be like he's definitely the more sensitive one, right? And you see that
yeah,
in a movie. And yeah, at times where he would say something really smart just randomly. You know, they've done that thing a few times in the old school shows as well. But yeah, like you said, Butthead is generally the one that just talks. I guess he represents a guy that kind of talks aloud but doesn't necessarily know what they're talking about. And by the way, this
yeah,
is yeah, because actually, Ron, something I want to come back to. What you said about not taking things seriously, and this is why I kind of disagree with that. Is because although, yeah, you're right, the show, the movie, it's all silly, it's all funny. I do feel like there is definitely a relation to the jokes that they make, their characters, to real life. You know, and one of them is if you look at, say, someone like Butthead, you know, he kind of represents that guy who, talks confidently, talks loudly, thinks he knows everything, but ultimately knows nothing at all. And even though yes, they are both idiots, but Butthead I feel like represents that kind of person, and especially like now in that sort of internet age, you see that sort of thing a lot. People on Twitter, people will talk with all the confidence in the world about something, and you might even be like reading it thinking, wow, 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 and then you get to a bit where you're like, actually no, that is completely off. Like, so I feel like he kind of represents that kind of attitude, that kind of arrogance that you see quite prevalent these days, where people will just talk loudly, talk a lot, but they don't actually know what they're talking about and not actually making any sense. Butthead is that, whereas Beavis is maybe the more reserved one who, like again, is still an idiot, still stupid, still whatever, has these kind of genius moments, but also lacks confidence to do anything with that, you know. In fact, they have the bit in the movie in the beginning where he's like, what if we applied ourselves and wrote things out with pencils? And he just gets kicked for it, Right? A smarter person, or a more confident person would know to do something about that. But Beavis is not that guy. He's the smarter one, but just does not have the confidence to actually do anything about it. But I guess to be fair, there was that scene where he does kind of fight back with Butthead. And he's like, "No, you don't want to scare her off. You can't call her a slut."
But that's interesting that you see it like that. That is. Me, I don't see it like that whatsoever. I'm not gonna lie to you. Only because like Beavis and Butt have been doing this whole shtick for since I
For
was a
sure.
kid. You
Yeah.
know, I don't think they represent anything. I think it was just like a little joke that Mike Judge came up with, and then it just sparked into something amazing. Like it's simple, but it works so fucking well, and it worked for
Mm.
so long, and now it's back and it's still working. I hope that this new run lasts a while. That therefore, like Mike Judge and everybody involved, they could make some money off of this more than just that one movie, because they deserve it. They're actually still funny. They're still delivering good animation, funny jokes,
Mm.
and yeah, it's just something nice to watch for us. And hell, if some new people get into it, that'll be dope too.
Mm.
I think it's possible to get new Beavis and Butthead fans, but
Oh
as
yeah,
far as
definitely.
like
I mean, I feel there's people born in the last, I don't know, 20 years who maybe never heard of Beavis and Butthead, or maybe haven't watched it, who would appreciate something like this. This might not be what they grew up on or whatever, but I think there are people, younger people, who would appreciate this kind of humor. I think the style of humor definitely fits in with meme culture as well. So people who are, like memes and stuff like that. All their jokes aren't memes. I just feel like there's a very kind of similar style to that. So yeah, I think if you're into kind of like those types of jokes, then yeah, Beavis and Butthead, I think you'd enjoy.
mhm, yeah, definitely.
Um,
Um, no, go ahead.
yeah. So and I was just gonna say that. So yeah, Beavis and Butthead, you mentioned yourself like that. They kind of been doing the same thing since the '90s, which pretty accurate, right? But it still works. I did see a YouTube video a little while ago. And I forget the name of the video or the name of the channel, so apologies for that. But if anybody knows, then yeah, let me know. But the person was just saying that the reason why he thinks Beavis and Butthead works is because Beavis and Butthead themselves don't evolve. So although Beavis and Butthead, they're pretty much the same characters from where they were in the '90s. Their goals are to get chicks, and score, and that's pretty much it, right? That's their sort of sole motivation in life. That's not changed, but what does change is their scenarios and things around them, and that's true, right? They themselves have not evolved that much over the years. They're pretty much the same characters from the '90s as they were when they brought it back in the sort of 2000s something or others to how they are now. They are the still same dumb guys still looking to score, but the situations they are in is what changes, and the humor comes a lot from
Mhm.
how other people react to those situations, and especially I think with this movie, putting them in 2022 and taking that kind of a character, those kind of characters, and put them in 2022, and then seeing how not that they interact with the world in 2022, but how the world interacts with them, and how the world treats them. So they got these characters that treat them like these criminal masterminds, which is actually not that dissimilar to what they did with Beavis and Butt-Head Do America, where they get kind of treated as these criminal masterminds, when the reality is that they're just these two dumb teenage kids trying to
Yeah.
score, and are too they themselves, the characters, are so unaware of themselves and unaware of the situation that nobody feels like anybody could be that stupid, that they must be these geniuses, or in this case was it aliens from another planet, that they've come to destroy the world with Arturo 6 or whatever I was saying, you know. But yeah, I feel that was an interesting take from that video that I saw, that they are effectively, the characters themselves don't change, but everything around them does, and how they interact with that world and how the world interacts with them. And that's where a lot of the humor comes from, or at least that's when I watched that video, that's how it seems. And I did watch some of the old shows to prepare for this video, but I'm mostly going
Hmm.
by memory. And yeah, I do feel like that kind of holds true.
Yeah, I would agree. It's similar to South Park. Although I got to give South Park more credit that the characters did change a little bit as compared to the first seasons, like similar to um, The Simpsons, similar to Family Guy. These characters, they end up molding a little bit different, just to make them more likable. Uh, it's like you're you're doing jokes, you're doing gimmicks, and you're trying to figure out what works.
Yeah.
And fortunately for Mike Judge, it seems like he already figured it out for Beavis and Butthead the first go.
Mm.
Like I was watching some of the first episodes, and they're pretty much the same. They're the same as back then.
Mm.
It just works. It's one of those jokes that, at least for me, it didn't get old.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not a big Beavis and Butthead fan, but I don't find myself bored watching them. And even with this new film, I didn't find myself bored at all. There wasn't a moment where I was bored. Um, I didn't go in expecting too much because, again, this was being released on Paramount Plus. So, with that said, like, um, be, due to it not being on the scale of Beavis and Butthead Does America, I mean, Do America,
Mm.
I wasn't disappointed. And thankfully, I wasn't expecting too much because it definitely doesn't go up to that level. I know I said that like multiple times already, but I just want to cement that in people's minds so you don't go in expecting too much. Otherwise, you will be disappointed and ruin a good experience that you could have with this film.
Yeah. Though, with that said, though, I would say that in terms of, like, say, production quality, I think that's really the difference. The production value is definitely higher in Beavis and Butt-Head Do America, in a lot of different areas, like the opening sequence with Beavis and Butt-Head Do America, where it has like the whole kind of Shaft inspired opening thing, or right
Hmm.
before that they got like Beavis and Butt-Head as these giants breathing fire and stuff like that,
Yeah.
so, and then, like I said before, they got LL Cool J on the track, they got Chili Peppers on the track, they got a whole bunch of artists at the time. I mean, Beavis and Butthead was pretty much at the height of its fame when that movie came out. So yeah, the production value on that was huge. Well, I say huge. I mean, maybe not huge for a movie at that time, but for the scale of Beavis and Butthead, it was pretty huge.
Hmm.
Whereas now, yeah, the production value, I don't know what the actual budget was for this movie, but my guess is that is nowhere near that, because the production value definitely is lower. But I would say don't take that to mean it's a worse film, because it isn't. They're both funny. And I mean, I think it's fair to say they both kind of do similar things, like the whole thing about being mistaken for geniuses, so that there is definitely similarities from one film to the other.
Yeah.
But they're both funny. They're both tell a great story, and they both put Beavis and Butthead in these situations where their style, where their characters make for really good, funny moments. So although yes, the production value is lower, it's not a worse film. You know what I mean? It's still a great film on that same kind of humor level.
Yeah, I would say you're gonna get the same jokes pretty much. And honestly, with this film too, I was worried that the whole fish out of water shit. I
Mm.
typically don't like that trope, but it works here.
Yeah.
It's hilarious to see them interact with new things like with the smartphone. They
Yeah.
took this family's smartphone
I thought it was a
after
TV.
they yeah, and just start buying all this shit,
Yeah.
and they all they did was buy nachos, and they
Yeah.
had
It
that
was
whole music video kind of thing going on. That shit was hilarious. Um, the fact that Beavis thought Siri was a real person, and
right.
he's like venting to it and giving all this emotion to it, and
I don't
it's
understand
fucking
Butthead. Yeah, I don't
hilarious.
understand him either.
It's fucking hilarious. Like that's some of the best moments.
Mm.
Another good scene is the prison riot. I just
Right.
love
Finding
how,
TV. Yeah.
yeah, the best parts about this film for me is when the people react and they don't understand what's going on, but they think they do.
Mm.
And it's so fucking funny. Like when so Beavis gets arrested, he's in prison, and he starts doing the whole cornholio
Yeah.
shit and starts asking for TP and demanding TP. And then the prisoners, they're looking around, they're like, yeah, we should get TP. And they start rioting in the fucking prison because of that. And it's just a misunderstanding. And it's
Yeah.
fucking hilarious. I love
Been
moments
touched
like
by an
that.
angel.
Yeah.
I've been touched by an angel.
uh, what else? Now, like, all right, another reaction was the main protagonist. I mean, the main antagonist. The president, or no, not the
Oh,
president.
yeah, the politician lady,
Yeah,
Serena.
yeah. So I love in the beginning, she thinks that these guys are intelligent. She thinks that these guys are smart. They're
Yeah.
prodigies or something. But honestly, they were just fucking around with the damn machines because they
Right.
simulated sex. And that shit sparked into this whole snowball of events that, was this movie. I love shit like that. Subtle jokes or small jokes that ends up escalating.
Yeah. It was like, how do you actually do that with me in space for real?
Yeah.
like, you're
and
real.
and when she actually realized what they thought, it was too late. And she almost sacrificed herself. No, that's the fucking funny part. She almost sacrificed herself
Right. Yeah.
and one
Yeah.
of
Yeah. Yeah.
her crew members for these two jackasses.
Well, they went into the spacesuits and tried to watch her from outside.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
Oh
man.
man. Okay. So speaking of Serena. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you noticed, but Siri, like the voice of Siri, was actually the real voice of Siri. Um,
Oh,
Susan Bennett, she's a voice actress. But yeah, the actual Siri's real, like Siri that you got on your real life
yeah.
Apple or real life Apple device. That voice was Susan Bennett, right? That's her real
Hmm.
name, Susan Bennett, who does the voice of Siri on Apple. Same voice actress did the voice of Siri in the Beavis and Butt-Head do the Universe movie. So yeah, that is actually Siri's voice. So
That's pretty.
little
Yeah, I
piece of
like
trivia.
that. I like
Um,
that.
but yeah, with Serena though, like so at the end of the movie where Beavis is about to confess his undying love, but then smart Beavis interrupts and tells her that he's in love with her, has been watching her all this time, and he can take her to these places, and becomes the first version of Beavis to score. But here's the thing though, here's what's on my mind about that. Smart Beavis and regular Beavis, they're gonna be the same age, right? Which is
Yeah.
15 or like 14 or 15 in the show. So if Smart Beavis scored with Serena, who was maybe, I don't know, maybe in her 30s or 40s in 2022, right? Um, right?
I mean, weren't they like around for eons or something like that?
Well, they
Or
don't
am I
say their
mistaken?
ages, but Beavis and
Oh,
Butthead are
okay.
supposed to be about 15. And they look the same age when they're in the future. I mean, the Smart Beavis and Smart Butthead, they look the same age as regular Beavis, right?
Hmm.
So, I mean, to be fair, they are from a different dimension. Maybe age works differently there, right? But I don't know, man. He, you know, like it just I don't know. That just seemed kind of just. But then she did say she's done worse things for her career, so just yeah, that was a little yeah. But it also talks about Beavis's mum, which gave us a little bit of insight to Beavis. And apparently, Beavis is his second name, is his family, is a surname, and not his first name. So all these years, I guess we just assumed his first name is Beavis because we call him Beavis, everybody calls him Beavis. But then, when they were at the house, then the real estate lady referred to the lady who owned the house as Shirley Beavis. So now we
Hmm.
know Beavis is actually the surname, which I guess that raises the question: what is Beavis's first name? I mean, they've
Yeah.
never said it, so I guess Beavis is not his first name. So what is his first name? And then Butthead, I get, is that actually his name, or do you know? Because who
Nah,
would call their son
that
Butthead, right?
exactly.
So I don't know. I mean, is this something that was planned all along, or is this something that they just decided to do for the movie and announce in their own subtle way that Beavis is actually his second name?
I think it's
Okay,
something
yeah.
that they just did for the film.
Hmm.
Uh, as far as I remember, I don't recall them ever really diving too deep into their past like that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I if didn't they have their father like yeah their fathers in the previous film?
Yeah, but they don't say their names in the previous film. They're just I think they're just there as like actually no they do no I think they do actually say their names because one of his I think Butthead older Butthead says shut up Beavis or oh wait does he? You know what I might have to check it again, but
Hmm.
I'm not yeah actually I'm not sure they say their names in the movie. I mean, we kind of get it that they're supposed to be their fathers, right? We get that from when you watch it and how they're introduced and when they talk about going through Highland and scoring with these two chicks, So I think it's clear that that's supposed to be their dads, but I don't think they actually say their names.
Yeah, I don't remember them saying their parents' names or anything, but I do remember either it was their parents or older versions of them in the previous film as well.
Yeah, well, it was their
And
parents. It was their parents, but
yeah,
I don't think actually say their names,
oh
but
no no no,
I
they
might need
didn't
to
say
double
their
check
name.
that.
Hmm.
But yeah, you're pretty sure that was supposed to be their dads. This one time, I went through this toilet called Highland. And I scored with these two chicks. Yeah, me too. It's like, shut up. Actually, did he say shut up or just shut up Beavis? Oh, I must have to double check. I think he might
Nah,
have
he
said
didn't.
shut up Beavis.
I don't think they said names.
Yeah. He might have just said shut up. I scored them both. Yeah, I think he might just shut. Yeah, I don't think he said shut up Beavis. I don't think so. Oh, I'll have to double check, but yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
so. I don't think he says the name. But to be honest, I mean, I don't think they would have noticed anyway because their real estate says Shirley Beavis, and they just completely did not pay attention to that. Started grinding stuff in
Yeah,
the in
jokes
the in the
like that.
movie.
It's
So
funny because you think, oh, we're gonna get some important lore or something like that. All
yeah,
right, that's dope. Nope, they just they just brush that shit aside.
yeah. Probably there's some
It's
line
almost
she
like the
blew
film
through.
is reminding you, like, hey, don't be looking here for that shit.
Yeah, we're gonna give you a little something, but you ain't gonna get. There's a whole story that we just got a tiny little bit of, and
Yeah.
probably not gonna see the rest of it anytime soon. So hey, we're probably not going to figure out because they've never shown their mum. That's for sure. I know they've never shown their their mothers. They've
Yeah, of
mentioned their
course.
mothers, but they've never shown their mothers. So
Hmm.
they're just these two kids in this house that, as far as anything goes, they seem to be alone all the time because their dads aren't around, their mothers are never there. Are they brothers? Are they friends? Are they related in some way? I guess we don't really know. They live in the same house. Is one of them adopted? Maybe. You know,
Yeah.
I guess there's so much we don't actually know about Beavis and Butthead and how they're in the same, how they live in the same house. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, if assuming they're not related, it's not unthinkable that Butthead is adopted. Because apparently, it's Beavis' mum's house. So is Butthead adopted? Maybe, maybe, or is he just
Probably.
somebody in the neighborhood that just kind of turned up and never left? You know, I guess there's a lot we'll never know, or maybe
Yeah.
we will know. Maybe, maybe.
Me, I don't really. I'm not gonna lie. I don't really care too much about that. I kind of hope they don't. I hope that it was just a one-off joke for the film.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not looking for anything deep when it comes to Beavis and Butthead. I feel like the whole show, like the whole series up to this point, including the films, have always been just to turn off your brain and laugh at something stupid.
Yeah.
And they
Oh
do it
no, for
so
sure.
perfectly. They do it so perfectly. And it's rare for shows to be able to do that and for it to work. Because after a while you get bored. You're like, all right, this is stupid. And that's it. You start looking down on it. But this
Hmm.
is like if you need a stress reliever, you want to have some laughs and shit, you don't want to think about anything, this is for you.
Yeah.
The series, the movies, all of that. Beavis and Butthead is there for you. If you just want to go ahead, turn off everything in your mind and just laugh.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, this is not like a show that has like a deep, you know, storied background with like, you know, their mother did this and this is what led to this. I mean, sure, there's all of that they figure out when they're writing these shows about how much they want to say and how much they don't want to say. So, but yeah, it's never been a show with a deep kind of lore. It's always just been things like, Beavis' mom's a slut, you know what I mean, and that sort of thing. So from watching the show, you don't know anything or very little about their parents. And yeah, I mean, it's not much to say in terms of having a discussion about who their parents are because again, you don't know much about it. But it was just interesting for me, like because I watched it, for so long from when it was on in the '90s. I believe I've seen probably every episode at some point or another, if not well, most if not all of them anyway. And so yeah, it's like I can remember like watching Beavis and Butthead back in school and having to stay up late because it came on like super late, and then go to school the next day and it was like me and one other guy who'd always watch it and we'd always talk about it, and then watching it all these years, and then it's like you come to this movie and it's like, oh, there's Shirley Beavis. So wait, Beavis is, what I mean? It's more like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like all this time, and it turns out Beavis' last name is like, oh, okay. And you know what? It doesn't matter. Like you're right. It's not a big deal whether it's his last name or his first name. Is what we call him anyway, right? But it's just more like, oh, all this time we just assumed. But hey, it is what it is. It is what it
Yeah,
is.
the way I took that joke was like a lot of times in animated films they try to introduce something like something from the backstory of a character or reveal something, whatever, right? They try to do something serious.
Yeah.
And I think they were just teasing that. Like you thought they were going to do that. And
Yeah.
they're like, no.
No. Yeah. No. But apparently his mum blew for the settlement money. That we got that bit. Blew. Okay. Just like all this money, and it's like, yep, gone. So wherever their parents are, it don't matter. Well,
Yeah.
um, but yeah. But speaking of actors, though, also another thing I noticed about some of the actors, and again, not a big deal, doesn't matter, but a little piece of trivia. I counted anyway. I counted 3 actors who were in Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe who were also in Office Space, which is the movie by Mark Joseph. It's actually his first non-animated movie that he did called Office Space back in '98, '9, something like that. But yeah, Gary Cole is in it, David Herman, and also Stephen Root. So they all played characters in Do the Universe, and they all were in Office Space. Have you seen Office Space, by the way?
Oh hell yeah. Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a great film.
Yeah,
That's a
definitely.
really good film, really
I
funny.
was just talking
Yeah,
about it the other day with somebody.
I feel like that movie. hold. I mean, suppose I guess I haven't watched it for a while, but to my mind, I feel like that holds up quite well, and especially. I mean, granted that a lot of the stuff is going to, it's sort of references going to be very kind of late 90s, early 2000s, like, you know, fax machines and whatever, right? But I feel like a lot of the humor comes from the office environment, you know, how people are treated, you know, their kind of day to day. And I feel like a lot of that still holds true today. You know, where you got like the guy who's don't bother to pronounce your name properly. You know, you've got the, you know, machine that never works when you need it to work.
Yeah.
You know, you got the higher ups trying to do these shuffles around and like figure out what does everybody do, and kind of approach you in this friendly way, but really just looking for a reason to get rid of you. You know, um, so yeah, I feel like a lot of that still holds true today in terms of office environments, you know, and or just work environments in general, really.
Yeah. I mean, shit. In my previous job, we did have a fax machine. We did have to use, we had to use it pretty frequently. And, I'm still like, I'm, I wouldn't say I'm young, but I just started reaching that age where people might start calling me old, right?
Hmm.
So I didn't know how to use a damn fax machine, and I had to learn quick. And there were still times where I didn't know how to use it. I'm like, man, why can't we just scan this shit and email it? That's what I'm used to. I'm not used
Yeah.
to no damn fax machine.
Actually, was it a fax machine or a printer, by the way? I might have had a printer in the movie, but even still, doesn't matter. But yeah,
Yeah,
a machine that doesn't work, whether it was a printer, I was just thinking that it might have been a printer, not a fax machine in the film. But
man,
in any
I
case, it was a
relate to
machine
that
that didn't
film.
work.
Yeah, I relate to that film because of my job.
Yeah.
I've been in situations where customers were piling up, and I couldn't get their receipt, and all that because the fucking printer broke down, and then I had to try to fix it, and I'm by myself.
Yeah.
I'm just getting mad thinking about it, so forget it.
You know that bit where Stephen Root's character, he didn't get any cake. There was like somebody's birthday and they were giving pieces of cake and he didn't get a piece of cake. And
Oh,
he
yeah,
was like,
yeah.
"But I didn't get I didn't get a piece of cake." And you know, you said that the last because I didn't get a piece of cake. And and then he kept moving around. They kept moving him around actually, but apparently he was supposed to be let go, but there was an issue with the pay, so they kept paying him even though he wasn't actually employed at the place. But then they eventually fixed the issue so he wasn't getting paid, but then moved into the basement so he's just out of the way, and so he's still
Yeah.
working for the company, but not getting paid for it. And then the thing that I guess takes it off in the end is that somebody took his red stapler. And you know what? I reckon, because I know I did this. I know I did this, but I reckon a lot of people bought red staplers after that movie.
More than likely. But the
But
interesting thing about Stephen Root, I actually forgot that was him in the film, and like uh, I binge watched Barry recently, and he's in that show,
okay,
and
I haven't seen Barry yet.
drastically different character.
Well, he's a very versatile actor. Um,
Yeah,
you know, I see he was actually in RoboCop 3. If
oh,
you ever see that,
I never watched that.
it's not exactly what you call a must see movie. But it does have some quality actors in there, like Stephen Root is in it, CCH Pounder is in it. So yeah, there's a few quality actors in that movie, but the film itself is well, it has its charm. It has its charm. Let me put it that way. It has its charm.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, he was also in a TV show called News Radio with Joe Rogan was in that show actually,
Hmm.
and that was a really good show. They used to come late over here actually, real late over here as well. But yeah, I remember staying up to watch that as well. That was a good show. I think it ran for like one season or two seasons. Um, Ended up having a tragic ending actually. Uh, a real life tragic ending, which is a shame. Um, you know, a Phil, no, oof, I forgot the name, my bad. But he played Troy McClure in The Simpsons.
You talking about the comedian?
Yeah, I forget his Hart. Phil Hart. Phil
Yeah.
Hart. Yeah, he well, story goes that I read is that he came home, or no, he was sleeping rather. Sorry, his wife shot him while he was sleeping. Shot and killed him while he was sleeping, then killed herself.
Yeah.
So yeah, real tragic ending. Um, but yeah, I did like News Radio. That was a good show, and Stephen Root was he played like the boss guy, like the owner of the radio station,
Hmm.
and yeah, it's a shame, man. It's a real shame.
Yeah. I only remember Phil Hart from The Simpsons, of course, and that one Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. I forgot what it is, but it's the one where they had that joke about the cookies. He was like, "I'm eating your wife's cookies." You
Okay,
never seen that?
I don't think so. If I have, I don't remember
Oh
that
man.
bit.
Ah man. All right. So basically, it's gonna be rough because I've only seen the movie once when I was younger. Uh, Arnold is like away. I think he's like a cop or some shit, and he calls to try to speak to his wife. And Phil is basically that like the annoying neighbor. Basically, like think of Ned Flanders, right?
Oh, is that
But
Jingle All the
he's
Way?
also probably
Because I just searched that on Google. I got Jingle All the Way coming up as a top result.
then yeah, that has to be it. That has to be it. But yeah, so he's away from home and he calls the house or whatever to speak to his wife. But
All
Phil
right,
picks up the
excuse me,
phone
but your
and he's
wife
like, "Your wife's cookies are delicious." And he's like, "Those are my cookies. Put that cookie down."
wife's cookies are out of this world.
What a
And yo, it's a classic
Yeah,
scene. I
yeah,
say, even if you don't watch the whole thing,
Cookies!
watch
I gotta
that
get the
scene.
recipe from
You can
Les.
find it on
put
YouTube.
that cookie down now.
yeah. And I just played a little bit, but yeah, that is it. It's Jingle All the Way. Put the cookie down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. But yeah, man. Rest in peace to Phil Hart.
Hmm.
Um. But yeah, let's talk a little bit more about Beavis and Butthead. So yeah, it's a show that started in the '90s and is now 2022. A lot has changed in culture and society, the way we view things. You know, what we find interest in, what we don't find interest in, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, etc., etc., etc. A lot's changed, and I do, like I said before, I feel like they do a good job of bringing something from the '90s into 2022. Um, but I mean, do you think this has legs though? Because it's like, I mean, a lot of it is, sex jokes. A lot of it is, jokes about wieners and things like that. And there is a lot of humor to be had, but and I guess guys like us who are a bit more old school are probably going to laugh at these things for a long time to come. But in terms of like the say newer generations who maybe aren't as used to it and maybe more used to different styles of comedy, do you think this is sort of thing that can last in this 2022 era?
I mean, yeah, I feel like it's not going to be a show that's going to have a big comeback or anything. I think it might last a season or two. I'd be surprised if it goes beyond 2 seasons. And I wouldn't be surprised if it only lasts one season. Uh, it's pretty much, again, like this new generation. Yeah, they're more sensitive, but there's still a lot of people that likes humor such
Mm.
as this. Like plenty of people. And plus the comedy kind of changed for I hate to sound old, but fuck it. For the younger kids now, like comedy changed for them. There are times where like I never thought we'd get to that point where I see memes and I'm like, I don't get how this is funny.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
there's this
yeah.
shit now where they show like a video and it's just a bunch of short clips of various shows or YouTube videos, and it's all in fast motion and quick speeches, like quick captions or whatever over them. And if like I get what they're doing, but I just don't find it funny. But yet This shit is fucking popular now. This is the trend.
Hmm. You know, I'll tell you, let me get into my old man mode for a second, because yeah, that kind of touches on something that I kind of feel like I don't get either. And I mean, I don't want to be the guys who one of those guys who say things like, "Oh, well, I don't get it. That means it's bad." I mean, look, if I don't get it, I don't get it. If other people get it, good for them. You know, happy for you. All of that, right? But
Mhm.
when it comes to, like, I don't know if you ever see these videos that say things like, you know, try not to laugh. You know, there's loads of them on YouTube. And yeah, to be fair, some of them, you know, are quite funny, and you know, I ain't saying they're all bad or whatever. Um, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of those videos where I've watched, certainly back in the day, where I used to try and watch these videos and just watch them. Like, I'm not trying not to laugh. Like, I'm just not laughing because it's not funny. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, because if you say try not to laugh, I'm thinking it's going to be so funny that I'm going to want to laugh instinctively and I have to hold it back. That's what I'm thinking, right? But you just watch these videos, like, what exactly is the joke here? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like, so yeah, like I said, this, I just don't get it either. It's like, and you look at the comments and people are like, oh man, this got me. I couldn't help but laugh at this one. It's like, oh man, this is brilliant. Oh, this is too funny. I'm like, really? Like,
No, I'm in the same boat when it comes to
yeah.
a lot of those videos, and I even watch people react to meme compilations sometimes.
Hmm.
Um, and a lot of them, I mean, of course, the people reacting, they're over
Oh
exaggerating
yeah,
on
for
purpose to
sure,
make it entertaining.
for sure.
But some
Well,
of
maybe not
them,
all of them, but yeah, for sure.
but some of them, they want to. I mean, they actually react genuinely to some of the jokes, and they'll laugh their asses off to it, and I'm just like,
Hmm.
all right, I guess.
Yeah, you know what? I see a few reaction videos where I'm just like, I mean, I get it. You know, it's part of the whole thing, and like you say, you want to make it entertaining, and I guess it's what people want to see. But you see a few of them where you're just like, bruh, that is just too fake.
Yeah,
It's too fake. You know, it's like you are not reacting like that to this. Like, come on now. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know if you ever see that old clip of the Rock where he gets stunned and he oversells it.
yeah,
Yeah, you ever see that when he's just bouncing all over the place? That's their
yeah,
reaction. It's like, bruh, come on. It's not that funny. You are
yeah,
not reacting. You're not flipping all over the place like the Rock. You know, for that. Come on now. Come on now. I get it. You know, I'm on YouTube too. I understand how these things work, but dude, come on, come on.
yeah.
But speaking of reactions, though, did we? Oh no, we talked about it already about Beavis and Butt-Head doing reactions. We mentioned that already. But yeah, that was hilarious though. Those their reactions, and say another one. I don't think we mentioned this one yet, but one of the Beavis and Butt-Head ones that I really liked was when it was a music video, a BTS. They're
Oh
watching a
yeah,
BTS video, and Beavis likes BTS. I thought that was awesome. I love the fact that Beavis likes BTS. I don't know why I like that. Beavis likes BTS. I mean, I don't mind BTS. You know, I listen to a few of their stuff. They're pretty cool. I wouldn't strictly say I'm a fan, but you know, they got some good songs definitely, and I like their was it Love Something album or whatever it was called. You know, I listened to it in the car. I was like, it's a pretty good album. But yeah, the fact that Beavis, he knew their names, you know, like he knew their names. It was like he's a BTS fan. I was like, this is awesome. And Butthead's trying to tease him for it as well. But I was like, yeah, I like the fact that Beavis is a BTS fan. That is awesome. And he's
yeah,
wearing a Metallica shirt while doing it as well. I was like, yeah, I like that. I like that.
yeah. And the thing is, shit, I'm into all sorts of music, so it was hilarious to me. I mean, I don't really listen to BTS, but
They're pretty
I
good
wouldn't
that
put
to
it
be
past
fair.
myself to actually listen to some of their music if I gave them, a chance or whatever. I don't purposely avoid them or anything because shit, I listen to Kiari Pamu, and yeah, I know it's kind is like vaguely connected. I don't want to say they're the same, thing, but still, my point is, it's really out there. So I appreciate that joke. The fact that, you know, Beavis, who's into this whole heavy metal shit and all that, could also like K-pop.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Beefs. Speaking of metal and stuff, I mean, just Beavis and Butthead in general. Like going back to like the '90s, Beavis and Butthead is the reason I listen to heavy metal. Like literally the reason. Um, Beavis in particular, when they had an episode where they were watching the music videos and Metallica came on. Of course, he's always wearing the Metallica T-shirt anyway, and it was One by Metallica that came on, and right away with the guitar started doing no, and Beavis is like, "What the hell is this crap?" And Butthead goes, "You should know, Butt Munch is Metallica." And he's like, "Oh yeah, that's why it sucks." But yeah, I remember they play that song on Beavis and Butthead, and I was like, "Man, this song is awesome." And you know, actually it was my brother that bought the album, but I listened to it way more than he did, and I eventually bought my own copy of the album. But yeah, from there it was like I got introduced to Metallica, I got introduced to Pantera, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and from there you learn about other bands. I can't even think of it right now. Sepultura, Megadeth. You know,
Danzig.
so many. Temple of the Dog. Wait, no, Soundgarden. Excuse me. The album's called Temple of the Dog. Rage Against the Machine. You know, there's so many that kind of came out of that from me from being introduced to Metallica and Pantera and Chili Peppers. That those I believe I got from from Beavis and Butthead, but then from listening to that and then learning about other musics and bands in that sort of area. I was like, yeah, I became fans of all kinds of stuff. So yeah, Beavis and Butthead has had a massive influence on my musical tastes. And I've I'm not always, but certainly for a long time, I've listened to lots of different types of music. And I guess kind of like what Beavis does. He likes Metallica and he likes BTS. So we have that in common. And, you know, Beavis has always been my favorite as well. So yeah, there's even more reasons to like Beavis even more than Butthead. He knows about lizards. He likes fire. He's a bit more sensitive. You know, he's definitely the smarter of the two, and he listens to more than one style of music. So yeah, a lot of reasons to like Beavis. You know, a lot of reasons.
Yeah. I mean, of course, and Beavis is the more charismatic one. I mean, Butthead is an asshole
Mm,
always, whereas Beavis he will typically be the one with more heart, the
yeah.
one that's more caring or nice, and
Do
also the
you?
one taken advantage of too. Sometimes in
Oh
a good
yeah.
way, sometimes in a bad way, like the
Oh yeah, for
fucking
sure.
dumpster fire,
He
telling
definitely
him to
gets
do all
taken
these
advantage of.
chores.
You know, and it's kind of like one of these things because when I guess when I was watching it back in the '90s, you're just laughing at the jokes. You're not thinking about I don't know. Maybe I mean, you mentioned before when you just watch it for what it is. But for me, it was like watching it back in the '90s. I'm very much like what laughing surface level jokes, right? And I guess now maybe it's because I've been doing it for watching it for so long, and the way I watch movies and shows now is different to the way I watch movies and shows back then. Um, I definitely do think about what I'm laughing at more and where my mind is at a bit more. So back then it was kind of like he's just laughing at Beavis and Butthead and Beavis getting slapped about and it's all funny. And now I'm still laughing, it's still funny, but now I'm kind of like not only am I laughing because it's funny, but I'm also kind of like I kind of feel sorry for Beavis a little bit. You know what I mean? I kind
Yeah,
of, you know what I mean? I kind of feel it because because I say he is the more sensitive one and he is the more kind of charismatic one, and Butthead is kind of definitely the more of the arsehole of the two, where you know he smacks him around and he's kind of like always having that upper hand, or at least in these moments, or when Beavis has the upper hand, it's not kind of realized that he has the upper hand, you know. Um, so it's kind of like, oh man, you know, poor Beavis.
yeah, poor guy.
You see the episode of the one of the new episodes where they're doing push-ups to get buff, but they're not even doing push-ups. They're just like hold up their arms. He's going, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Nah, I don't think I did.
Let me not spoil it for you then, but yeah, they do these push-ups, and it's like, oh yeah, we're buff now, we're ripped, we're like totally ripped, and they're not, of course, they're not. They're not even doing proper push-ups. It's just, oh, but yeah, nah. I mean, yeah, Beavis and Butthead has been part of my life for a long time. So for me, it's definitely like, I mean, I'm gonna have good words about Beavis and Butt-Head. I guess you could say I might be a little bit biased, but
Yeah, I would say I'm biased.
yeah, no, for it's just something that, I mean, I remember watching it on TV and I hadn't even heard of it. It was on,
Hmm.
and I think it was my older brother that said something about, this show. I think he'd heard of it or something, and it just had to be on. I don't think he even wanted to watch it or was specifically trying to watch it, but I think he had heard of it and then mentioned it, and then we're like, okay, cool, and whatever. And then from there, it was just like I definitely liked it way more than he did, for sure. Um, and yeah, it would come on like on Channel 4 over here, and it would be on like something like 12 a.m. in the midnight. And I remember staying up to watch, even on school nights. Was it school nights or was it? I can't remember actually. But whenever it was on, I remember staying up late to watch it. And there was a whole bunch of shows actually that, I mean, Newsred I think came a bit later on, but there's definitely like a whole bunch of shows that were on at midnight that they weren't, pornographic, they weren't super violent. Beavis and Butthead, I guess, kind of a little bit, but not super violent, right? There wasn't
Yeah,
certainly not a lot of swearing in there, so there's no good reason for it to be on that late. If you're trying to avoid not showing it to kids, like you could have it a bit earlier, still avoid showing it to kids. You know what I mean? But yeah, it'd be on midnight, 1 a.m. that sort of time. But I'd stay up to watch it. I'd stay up to watch it, and then eventually get an MTV and being able to watch it on that. And then of course the movie when it came. In fact, when the movie came out, I remember I was supposed to go see it with a friend, but my friend kept flaking on me. He was like, "Nah, man, sorry. Oh, yeah, something came up, blah blah blah." But I was like, you know what? I want to see this movie, and I remember going to the cinema on my. It wasn't the first time I went to cinema on my own, but still, I just remember going specifically on my own. So I was like, I want to see this movie, and I'm not gonna wait for somebody if they're not gonna. You know what I mean? I want to. So I went to
damn
cinema. I
right.
watched it on my own, and yeah, great times had. Great time had. But yeah, no,
Damn right.
I feel like I have a long history, a long personal history of Beavis and Butthead because it is definitely something that at various points in my life has meant a lot to me. And like I say, especially like with the music, it's introduced me to a lot of music and, it's shaping a lot of how I view music and stuff. So yeah, I've a lot of, yeah, it's a part of me. It's a part of me.
Same here.
Do you remember when you first saw Beavis and Butthead?
Yeah, I remember watching it on MTV late at night, and also where I used to watch it on a regular basis, where I actually became a fan, was after school. They used to show it on, I think MTV2, if I'm not mistaken, and I still remember it was like around 3:30 or 4 p.m. or something like that, and I used to just watch them every damn time they were on,
Mm.
and I just found them funny as hell. I always did, always did. Hell, I had actually even before that. I remember they had the video game on Nintendo and Sega Genesis, and I had got it on
Yes.
my Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
I did not know how to play that game at all, but I was glad to have it.
I didn't play those games
And
when it came out, but I did play one of them years later, and it was super hard. Super hard. Like I can't remember
mhm.
which one it was. But I remember like in a school, and I think you had to like throw things to defeat the enemies, and then maybe jump over other projectiles and stuff like that. But I don't remember which version of Beavis and Butthead it was. Whether it was a Super NES or because I think I played it.
I think
What
we're
was I gonna
talking
say?
about
I
the
was
same
playing it.
game.
But yeah, it was a hard game though, right?
Yeah, because a lot of shit was not explained. And nowadays it would be easy, for
Mm.
the most part, because you could just look up everything online. But back then, who the hell was able to look up that shit, and who the hell was even posting walkthroughs of that game? Not back then.
Mm. There was a game that another game that I played that I mean I think I got it when it came out. I'm not entirely sure, but it was a PC game called Beavis and Butthead Do You, and it's actually a point and click game where they go on this field trip to a university. They take the kids to like the university and to kind of look around or whatever. And they have Beavis and Butt, of course, end up wandering off on their own. And I think the aim of the game was to, I can't remember exactly what it was, but there was trying to get to something. But along the way, there's like all these different rooms you kind of go to, but you have to figure out how to get to each room. And the general idea of the game is that you have to think like Beavis and Butthead. So you kind of have to click on the things that they would do and try to collect the certain things and use them in other parts of the map. And that was a pretty hard game as well. You know, that was a super hard game because some of the things, I ended up getting a guide and just following that. And some of the things where I was like, there's no way I would have thought of that. I can't remember what they are now because it was a long time ago, but there's definitely a lot of things where I was like, there's no way I would have thought of that, you know, because like you're talking about some mad, what is the connection from like, be like, I don't know, a piece of paper or like, I don't know, a videotape or whatever that you have to take from one room. And then you have to give it to like some guy in another place, and because you give it to that guy, ends up, you know, taking it to somebody else, and because he falls over and the basket, you know what I mean? It's a mad connection to how things work. It's like, I guess to be fair, all the clues are there, but that was tough. That was, if you're looking for a tough point and click adventure game, Beavis and Butthead do you. Yeah.
I mean, that sounds pretty similar to the game that I played. The game I played was just called Beavis and Butt-Head, just plain and simple. And you control either Beavis or Butt-Head, and you just take items. You got to do things with items in order to progress the plot. The whole plot is just pretty much you got tickets to a concert, and they got ripped in half or something like that, and you're trying to find them.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds so familiar. Yeah. It was a Guar concert, wasn't it?
Yes.
Guar, yes, I remember that. Yeah. I don't remember a lot from it, but yeah, I remember that bit. I remember that bit.
Yes. So still to this day, I still haven't beaten it.
Those games were tough, man. The Beavis and Butthead games. I mean, you might think, oh, they're idiots, blah 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 blah, but yeah, their games were tough. they put them in some hard ass games, man. You know, and but yeah, I remember playing that Guar one about the tickets. I think that was one of the SNES or but I know I didn't complete it. I think I got to like maybe the second level or something, but I mean, at this point, I think if I play that game, my reflexes are not even going to be anywhere near where it needs to be. So I kind of dodge the things, because I remember you got to dodge certain projectiles or jump over projectiles, and or at least one of the games. Maybe not that one specifically, but definitely one of the Beavis and Butthead games had to dodge things. But yeah, it's.
I mean, also the reason why those games are hard is because it was a strategy back then, since game rentals were popular back then. People would go ahead, rent the game, beat it, and then return it. So game companies were like, okay, what we need to do is make it so difficult that you can't beat it in the time that you rented that game. So you need to actually just buy that game.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of games back then were so fucking hard. Like Lion King, for example. That's the prime example.
Yeah.
That's exactly the reason why they made it so damn hard, actually.
Yeah. Did you rent games back then? I don't think I was renting games back then, to be honest. But was renting games big in your parts of the world at that point?
Yeah. But I didn't rent games. My grandmother spoiled me.
Okay.
If I said I wanted a game, she got that shit as soon as possible.
Big up.
I was a spoiled child. Yeah. So I was blessed to have her. Very spoiled. Shit. At one point, until I got older, like when I started becoming like a teenager and all that, if I said I wanted a game, almost every damn weekend I got a game. Almost every damn weekend. That shit was good times.
Nice.
Shit. Yeah.
Must have been
that's why I had so many damn. She practically raised me. It wasn't like she lived somewhere else or what. No, I was a grandma's boy. But what is it? I had almost every damn console. I had a Super Nintendo. I had a Sega Genesis. I had a Dreamcast, PlayStation 2, GameCube. Um, I didn't get the original Xbox because I don't know what happened. I just skipped over that.
That was a
And
decent
by the time the
console.
360 came out, that's when I did get that, but I didn't get a PS3 or whatever because that's when I started getting older, and it was like, all right, I ain't spoiling your ass anymore. You got to get your own things.
Yeah, you're gonna be a grandma's boy for so long. I've let you're on your own now. You're on
Yeah.
your own now. All right. You know what? I think that might be a good place to start winding down. We've talked a lot about Beavis and Butthead and the new movie and Beavis and Butthead in general.
hmm
Um, or is there anything else you'd like to add or say or anything?
Uh, I mean, I might be repeating myself, but I would say any Beavis and Butthead fan, you definitely want to go ahead and give this a watch. Don't go in with high expectations. Just go in to have a good time,
Hmm,
and that's it. It's going to be a good film. It's going to be funny, and yeah, you're going to enjoy it.
cool. Well, yeah, I think it's an enjoyable film. I think, yeah, definitely check it out if you're a Beavis and Butthead fan. Well, if you're a Beavis and Butthead fan, you've probably seen it already, actually. But if you haven't, definitely check it out. And if you're not a fan, you might not, but hey, if you've got the like Sweet was saying earlier, if you've got the means, if you've got Paramount Plus for any other reason, maybe check it out. Maybe you've got a free trial. Check it out. You might enjoy it. You might. You just might. Maybe you've heard of Beavis and Butthead, but you've never watched it before. Yeah, maybe check it out. You get a free trial. I don't know if you've got free trials in America, but we get free trials over here for like 7 days. So if you can get that, yeah, check it out. Check it out. But yeah, I very much enjoyed it. I've been a Beavis and Butthead fan for, well, gee, I guess probably most of my life at this point. When I'm not thinking about it, damn, most of my life has probably been spent as a Beavis and Butthead fans. I've had well, got a T-shirt, I've got a poster somewhere, video games, the shows, the movies. Yeah, I'm a Beavis and Butthead fan, no doubt. And till this day, and actually, one thing I would add actually before we wrap up is that before I watched this movie, I was definitely apprehensive about am I still going to like this? In 2022, like I said, so much has changed, culture's changed, I've changed, we've all changed. Am I still going to think Beavis and Butthead is funny now? And yeah, I watched the movie, and well, if you've listened to this podcast so far, then you know the answer is definitely yes. I did find it funny, but yeah, I certainly understand that there was apprehension. If you have apprehension to it, because Beavis and Butthead very much a staple of the '90s, and we're in 30 something years after that, So it's a lot's happened since then, a lot's changed since then. But in my opinion, it is still funny, it's still great, and still relevant. Whether this new series goes a distance or not, it waits to be seen. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm here for it. So yeah, that's my part in peace. Um, but yeah, yeah. Thanks, guys, for listening or watching this podcast. Like I was saying earlier, if you've got any suggestions of TV shows or movies that you want us to review and or talk about in a similar type of way, then yeah, drop some suggestions and we'll see if those can be checked out. Other than that, that's gonna be it for the minute. So guys, until whenever, if ever, peace.